Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. Hi, this is Nalini Elkins with Inside Products. My co-panelist, Harish, could not be here, so he's here with us in spirit. I would like for this to be mostly a brainstorming session. So I'm going to talk for a little bit, and then I really want to hear from you guys. This is going to be, if a lot of you were in the session that was here earlier, on IDN IEA, this is kind of a continuation of that, and we're going to think about next steps. So as I say, I'm not going to talk for very long. I'm just going to level set a little bit for some of the people who might be new to the area, and then I want to hear from you guys. Okay? So what we're going to talk about is this whole area of internationalized domain names, internationalized email addresses, and it really permeates many, many areas. But the first thing to think about is that today we have an internet that is by and large English, and having said that, much of the world does not speak English as their primary language. There are over 7,000 languages spoken today, and there are at least 6 major language families. And so you can see that the number of speakers who speak a non-English language is about 85%. That's quite a bit. So when you're thinking about an English-only internet, a de facto English internet, we need to really be preparing for the real next generation internet, which I think will be non-English. This, I think, is the challenge that we have for the future. So let's keep going. Where are these languages spoken? They are spoken in Asia and Africa, many of them, elsewhere also. But if we can get Asia and Africa resolved, that's quite a bit of that language. And so what are IDNs? IDNs are internationalized domain names. If you think of a domain name, of course, with something like google.com or Bank of America.bank nowadays with the new GTLDs. We will soon be getting more and more, I hope, IDNs, things that are in other scripts. For example, you have here something from the .bharat domain that is in Hindi, so I have some chance of reading that. And of course, that's how somebody who speaks only Hindi feels about English. They feel like they don't have much of a chance of reading other scripts. This is an easy concept to discuss, but not particularly an easy concept to implement. One of the big problems is that email is critical. If you have a business such as mybank.com or google.com or whatever, you want to have the corresponding email for it. And that is, of course, true for internationalized domain names. And so this is not, these two things are inextricably tied. If you can't do email very well, you're not going to see IDNs being picked up, and you can't do email very well. So there are a lot of obstacles to IDN adoption. It has been around for a while. This capability has been around for quite a while. There has been a lot of discussion about why it has not been picked up. There are many issues, and some of the clearest, I think, is the ones I state here: lack of awareness, lack of email support, a lot of security issues. Your email goes into spam. Your search engine doesn't search on IDNs correctly. There's interoperability issues, and on and on and on. When I first got into this, it started seeming to me like an onion. And so what happens when you have an onion? You have a lot of layers, and of course, what happens between each layer? A lot of crying between each layer. And that is how this whole area is. There are many, many groups involved in this effort. And just to list the groups that are involved and what they do is a task in itself. As you can see, to solve any one problem, at least 2 or 3 of these groups, experts within these groups, need to be involved. So the problem is, this is a very complex area. We need, to solve any problem, we need expertise from multiple domains. And what do we do today? Naturally, what we do today is silos. What we do is each person, each group tries to solve things in their own way. So what does this lead to? It leads to potentially not seeing the full picture, not having the right people at the table, and not even having the right requirements, not having an inventory of the problems. And some people who have been in this area feel like, I've been over this and over this and over this, and I'm wasting my time going over this for the 25th time. And it's not something that I think that we want to do. There's not enough time and energy in the world to do that. And of course, we're not really moving forward. So in this whole area, let me just do a little call out. We are standing on the shoulders of giants. There has been a huge amount of great work at the IETF, many, many RFCs written. John, Andrew, Ted, a lot of people, Tony. There's ongoing work being done at the UASG, which is a part of ICANN, with Mark and Don and various other people. Our friends in China and Thailand are doing a lot of doing the first implementations and really paving the road for us. But we need, the next thing, in my opinion, that I think we need is a collaborative forum. Because these are complex problems that span multiple domains, what I suggest is that we have a collaborative forum, and I don't know where it sits. Most of my work is done at the IETF, and I don't know whether it belongs there. I work with the UASG. I don't know whether it belongs at ICANN. I'm just putting this out. We have a big problem, and we need some kind of solution. And what I suggest is a part of the solution is collaboration of expertise. So how would such a forum work? Well, our first step would be to actually gather all the problems, have an inventory of all the problems so that we can categorize them and see, is something like a different kind of framework needed? And then gather the requirements from the community. What is it that we really need? I mean, I hear lots of things from some of the people that I work with. We have farmers in certain regions of India who would like email addresses in Malayalam or Telugu. So once we've gathered requirements and the problems, we pick the ones that we need to look at, after we have the framework, and see if we can start solving these problems. As I say, these are multi-stakeholder problems, and we need collaboration in order to fix them. Rinse and repeat, hopefully. Let me talk about some guiding principles. Some guiding principles is that my first one is there are limits to perfection. One of the things I think with this whole area of IDN and IEA is that our languages, especially when you're talking about 7,000 plus languages, are extremely complex. And I don't know that we're ever going to be able to duplicate that in any kind of reasonable way in a computer-based system. So we have to discuss where the bounds are to perfection. Having said that, one of the guiding principles of the internet is any-to-any communication. So the other side of that is we want to avoid fragmentation where we can. Let's try to do some incremental changes, see where we get to. But then, as John said, if you go forward without making a plan, you can fall off a cliff. And I think it's okay to solve some problems. I think it's okay to just take some of the low-hanging fruit and fix it. So, okay, I'm done. Yes, I'd like to hear from you guys.
Okay, I'm Mohamed Agari. I'm from Egypt. I work with Global Voices Lingua, where I manage the translation project into 40 languages. So in Egypt, I think there are probably limitations. So for Arabic IDNs, I just know 2 companies who sell them, and these domains are not really the main service of. So the 2 companies are 2 ISPs, and the 2 biggest ISPs in Egypt. So the domains are not really their main business. So they don't really do anything promoting them. I don't know any other company in the rest of the MENA region who sell Arabic IDNs. So I think maybe this is an issue. Maybe I'm not sure really how the IDNs are like redistributed, like registers, how they're sold. So maybe if the process is more open, we see an increase in the usage of Arabic IDNs, or maybe other languages as well.
Yes, you're getting into the whole awareness area. Guys, I just want to say too, is like, everybody who's talking, please come down and give me your email address if you would, so I can keep you on a list and so I can gather your problems. Okay, so awareness, great. Yeah. Do you want to hand it to?
This is Edmund Chung, and of course I've been trying to promote this, and I guess I self-proclaimed pioneer of IDNs and these issues as well. So what you mentioned is great. In fact, it's kind of singing music to my ears. One of the reasons is because we often look at this issue as a technical issue or even a commercial issue. And my view is that yes, technical issues are important. Yes, the commercial aspects of it is important. But to me, I think we're at a point where we need to make it a social and a policy or even political push for this. And the reason is because there is a market failure today. Commercial companies are not picking this up because they're not seeing demand. And the reason for the reason that there is no demand is because the applications don't work. So there is a chicken and egg issue, and there is a market failure right now that requires policy intervention. That's my personal view, and that you bring it up in that context here at IGF, I think it's the right context. And to me, I've been trying to promote what I think are the 3 pillars to actually get this done at this stage. All the work previously is necessary to get us to this stage, but the 3 pillars I see is procurement policies from governments and corporates and enterprises. If they start having a roadmap and procuring the next system to have IDN awareness and internationalized email address awareness, that's when the system integrators, that's when the software developers will suddenly be aware of the issues. That's number one. Number two is think about upgrading the internet, upgrading the net. Rather than just focusing on IDNs, we need to band together with others, IPv6, DNSSEC, accessibility, even accessibility, honestly, because these are all things that developers or companies or IT departments thinks they are useful, important, but never gets up to the priority. But if we band together, just like another political or social push, then we have better clout, then we have better audience. And the third aspect is ride on the SDGs. We need to ride on the SDGs. Right now, we have a common goal, common global push for the Sustainable Development Goals. And IDN needs to be part of that push to get it into the governments, to get it into the policy mindset of people to break that market failure we're seeing today. And that's sort of what I see. It's no longer technical nor a commercial issue. It's an issue of development. It's an issue of infrastructure development. It's an issue of protection of heritage. We got to get it, we got to have another leg. The technical, the commercial are important. The third leg is the policy side, which is important. And one more directive, besides the three pillars, is the proactive, creative, creating use cases in relevant communities, like at a school. If we find a school, give them all international email addresses, let it start working within small communities, and then we can see actual deployment, and then we can feature them. Again, it's not so much technical, not so much commercial. It's I think we need a social push right now.
That is just so great. Yeah, I think I've got your email address, but just please let's. As I say, we need. There are technical challenges. I'm going to push back a little bit. There are some technical challenges, but totally hear you. It's just like the best practices forum on IPv6. Yeah, John. John, I'm going to give you my. I'm going to give John my mic. You should be up here, John.
No, I hope not. I'm John Clenson, and I've had a little bit to do with getting the technology working. Two observations. For starters, I largely agree with what Edmund said, but it's important to understand that this is not a market failure completely in the nobody's moving sense. This is a market failure in the sense that there's perception of cost and perception of risk, as well as the perception of lack of demand that you're talking about. And I think we need to not ignore that. The second very general observation is that I think when you're having these kinds of discussions, it is very important that you make certain you've got your facts straight, because this is an area in which there is resistance. There shouldn't be, but there is. There are real or perceived problems, probably more perceived than real, but they're there. And your positions are very easily discredited if the facts by which you're supporting them are wrong, even if positions are right. There are the claims from China is that there are now very nearly as many Chinese users of the internet as there are English-speaking users of the internet. If that's true, and I have every reason to believe that it is, then claiming that the big problem here is English is just a distraction. Claiming that all of those other languages and scripts are equally important and ought to be strongly enabled is valid and appropriate. But getting tangled up with this evil English speaker stuff is just going to discredit you and discredit the effort.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, John. Let me find out do we have people from China here? Yeah. We'll have to find out the Chinese. Yeah. That's really, really good point. Satish?
Yeah, I'll speak from here. My name is Satish Babu, and I'm from India. A few points in the Indian context. Although it's one country, it's a fairly large country, and we have a very large population who are just coming in. Until now, we have been kind of relaxed about IDNs and universal acceptance. The reason being, English is a link language, was a link language, so there was no pressure, no real pressure to get into IDNs in a very serious manner. Although the initial work was done, the infrastructure was there, the research institutions were trying to kind of get this popularized. But two things have happened, or happening right now, that makes this very urgent. The first thing is that the organic movement into the next billion, where we have very large numbers who are moving in, who are not so educated, who are not so fluent in English. So that's one bunch, and this is a very large number of people. The second thing that has happened recently is the whole kick upstairs into the digital economy. We have had this demonetization process, and forcefully, in one fell swoop, the government wants the entire country to move into a cashless digital economy. So the universal acceptance problem is no longer in the abstract. It's a very direct, very acute problem right now. And I'm sure the government of India is going to pull out all stops in ensuring that this is going to happen. So this is a good opportunity for us. So this is a context in the, from India. And two small, very quick comments. One is that it is good to have a multi-stakeholder process because of the large number of actors and institutions and initiatives involved in getting this, kind of handling this. And the last point is that we also need to bring in one other community, which is the end user community, into this picture. Thank you.
Guys, I think there is something after us. Okay, so if anybody is interested in working on this, working on the, we'll start an email list somewhere. We'll start getting people together. Come leave me your email address because we're going to go forth and start trying to create a multi-stakeholder forum, or at least see if that'll work and see under whose auspices we might be able to do it. Thank you guys all so much. They give like no time in between sessions. Are you the next speaker?
No, I'm not at all. I'm here to speak about ideas.
Oh.
I get a chance to step in bit.
Probando, micrófono 1.
So we do some work with the UNESCO, the IDN World Report.
Hola.